Hey there! Do you ever wonder what would happen if Cinderella started her own rock band? Or if Medusa realized just how cool her hair was? Well, there's a Webby Award-winning show called Girl Tales that takes classic stories and puts a unique twist on them, giving girls the chance to save the day, use their intelligence and bravery, and show that they can be the heroes of their own stories. If you are ready for an adventure, find Girl Tales wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey there, BKFK kids! We've got something magical in the works just for you. We're inviting you to our very first Magimajura Monster Meetup. It's going to be an online Zoom gathering full of fun, stories and silliness. And you're invited. Save the date. It's on Saturday, November the 30th. We'll be hosting 2 events just to make sure everyone can join in the fun. One event in the Western time zones for all our friends in the Americas and Europe, and another in the Eastern time zones, perfect for our listeners in Asia, Australia and beyond. Here's what's in store. We'll have a Magimajura quiz to test your magical knowledge. We'll have a question and answer session about anything you'd like to know about By Kids for Kids. We'll brainstorm new characters to bring to life in upcoming episodes. We'll flesh out current characters, even suggesting storylines for 2025. We'll create goblin words for Snickerfang and Jinx, plus monster words for the Terrible Trio. And we'll have a silly story time where each of you gets to add the next line to the tale. Maybe we'll publish this as a bonus episode. If you're ready to add your own sparkle to Magimajura, sign up now on our website, bykids4kids.co, or just check out the show notes of this episode to find the link. We can't wait to see you there. Coming up in this episode, Jinx and Snickerfang are devastated to discover all their bugs have gone.
No more buzz beetles, and even the crawly claws have skedaddled.
This is serious.
But Granny Gigglesnort comes to the rescue with a creative suggestion.
There might be a way. I've heard something called a bug hotel from a faraway land. It's a special home that invites bugs to come and stay. A bug hotel?
If you would also like to make a bug hotel, listen after the story and I'll tell you how. And after that, you can also hear a taste of Chapter 1 of Queen Zixi of Ix, our Patreon special series. Okay, let's hear who the superstars are on this episode.
Hi, my name is Adeline and I'm 8 years old. I'm from California and I like playing sports and playing with my little sister.
Hi, my name is Ellie. I live in Stuttgart, Germany, and I like dancing, and I am 7 years old.
Hi, I'm Mila. I'm 9 years old and I love mountain biking. I live in Stuttgart, Germany.
Well done, kids. A bug-tastic performance. Okay, Ruby, let's get on with the story.
The Beetle Burrow Bug Hotel. In the village of Snaggleton, deep beneath the gnarled roots of an ancient tree, there lived 2 goblin siblings named Snickerfang and Jinx. Their cozy home, known as the Beetle Burrow, was hidden behind a curtain made of interwoven bones and feathers from magical creatures. The burrow was filled with the flicker of enchanted fireflies and a warm, earthy scent that made it feel like home. But lately, the burrow had grown oddly quiet.
Jinx, where have all the buggledy-bugs gone?
Snickerfang asked, peering into one of the many nooks that usually held jars of colorful beetles. His eyes, usually large and sparkly, were full of worry and concern. Jinx, her wild purple hair bouncing as she hopped down from a rickety stool, scratched her head.
I don't know, Snickerfang. There used to be so many, but now, look.
She held up a jar that once teemed with lively beetles, but was now almost empty.
We've got no more glitter bugs,
Snickerfang exclaimed.
No more buzz beetles, and even the crawly claws have skedaddled.
This is serious.
Jinx said,
We need beetles for everything. They're not just fun to watch. They help us keep the burrow clean and the garden growing.
Just as they were wondering what to do, there was a knock at their burrow door. A tinkling sound filled the air as the bones and feathers swayed aside to reveal Granny Gigglesnort.
Well. What's got you two goblins looking so glum on a sunshiny day?
Granny Gigglesnort asked.
Granny, we've got a big problem.
Jinx said, rushing over to the old witch.
The beetles are disappearing.
Disappearing, you say?
Granny Gigglesnort said, rubbing her chin thoughtfully.
That's no good. Beetles and bugs are some of the most important creatures in these woods.
Snickerfang nodded eagerly.
They're nature's tiders. They eat up all the old leaves and twigs and keep everything neat and clean.
And they help plants grow
Jinx added.
by carrying pollen from one flower to another. Without them, our garden wouldn't have any fruits or flowers.
Granny Gigglesnort listened carefully.
And don't forget, they help the soil too. Beetles and bugs dig and burrow, making the soil rich and healthy for plants to grow.
And they're food for lots of other animals,
Snickerfang said, waving his arms excitedly.
like birds and frogs.
And the terrible trio.
Jinx added.
If there aren't any beetles, they wouldn't have anything to eat.
Not to mention,
Jinx continued.
they keep the baddie buglies away from our plants. They're like tiny little guards.
Granny Gigglesnort nodded.
You're absolutely right, my goblin friends. Bugs and beetles are an important part of the forest. Without them, everything will fall out of balance.
But what can we do, Granny? We can't just make beetles appear out of thin air.
There might be a way. I've heard something called a bug hotel from a faraway land. It's a special home that invites bugs to come and stay.
A bug hotel?
Jinx asked, tilting her head curiously.
What's that?
Granny Gigglesnort grinned, her wrinkles deepening.
It's a place where bugs can find food, shelter, and a safe place to lay their eggs. It's like building a little village for them.
Snickerfang's eyes widened.
A beetle village? Like Snaggleton? That sounds spectastic.
How do we build one?
Jinx asked, bouncing on her toes with excitement. Granny Gigglesnort reached into her patchwork bag and pulled out a scroll. She unrolled it, revealing a picture of a bug hotel made from bits and pieces of wood, bark, and leaves.
It's simple, really. You just need some natural materials, like old logs, sticks, pine cones, and a few other things. We'll stack them up and create little rooms and nooks where different bugs can move in.
Let's do it.
Snickerfang shouted, his dark green hair flopping over his eyes. He dashed to one of the shelves and pulled out an assortment of jars filled with pebbles, bark, and dried leaves.
We've got plenty of things to make it with.
Jinx grabbed an old wooden box from a corner and set it on the ground.
We can use this as a base. Let's start building.
The three of them got to work, gathering more materials from the forest around their burrow. Snickerfang found old pieces of bark and hollow sticks, perfect for making tiny tunnels and hidey holes. Jinx collected pine cones and bundles of dry grass to create cozy nests. Granny Gigglesnort, with a wave of her hand, summoned some enchanted moss to use as soft bedding.
First, we need to build a frame.
Granny Gigglesnort said, helping Snickerfang and Jinx stack the wooden box with some twigs to create a sturdy structure.
This will be the main part of the bug hotel.
Then we fill it with all sorts of different things.
Snickerfang said, placing some hollow sticks and pine cones in one section.
This is for the jiggly bugs and skitter beetles.
And this part
Jinx added, stuffing dry leaves and moss into another section.
is for the flutterbies. and shadow moss.
Don't forget a little mud and clay.
Granny Gigglesnort said, handing over a bowl of sticky mud.
Some bugs like it damp and muddy.
Snickerfang smeared the mud into a corner of the hotel.
For the snufflegrubs and slitherworms.
They worked together, laughing and chatting as they built the bug hotel. By the time they were done, the hotel was a colorful, higgledy-piggledy structure with different sections for all kinds of bugs.
Now we just need to wait and see if any guests show up.
Jinx said, stepping back to admire their work. Granny Gigglesnort nodded.
It might take a little time, but soon enough, this place will be buzzing with life.
Snickerfang and Jinx checked the bug hotel every day. At first, nothing happened. But one morning, as they peeked into the tiny rooms and nooks, they spotted movement.
Look, Snickerfang!
Jinx whispered excitedly.
A shiny beetle.
A beautiful skitterbug was crawling through one of the hollow sticks, exploring its new home. In another section, a family of jigglybugs had moved in, making themselves comfortable on the pine cones.
Beetle buglings, it's working!
Snickerfang cheered, clapping his hands. Soon, more and more bugs began to arrive. There were slitherworms, flutterbys, shadow moths, and even some pollen-puffed bees. The bug hotel was becoming a lively little village of its own. Granny Gigglesnort came to visit again, her face beaming with pride.
Well done, my dear goblins. Your bug hotel is a grand success.
Thank you, Granny Gigglesnort.
Jinx said, giving the old witch a big hug.
We couldn't have done it without you.
Oh, nonsense.
Granny Gigglesnort chuckled.
You two did all the hard work. I just gave you a little nudge in the right direction.
Snickerfang grinned, his pockets now full of new beetle friends.
The beetles are back, and the garden is happy again.
Granny Gigglesnort nodded.
Remember, little ones, everything in nature has its place and purpose. Even the tiniest beetle can make a big difference.
Quiz time. What did Snickerfang and Jinx notice was missing from their burrow? A. Fairy dust. B. Beetles and bugs. C. Magical potions. Or D. Leaves and sticks. And the answer is B. Beetles and bugs. Question 2. Who gave Snickerfang and Jinx the idea to make a bug hotel? A. Sir Chucklenugget. B. Stanky. C. Granny Gigglesnort. Or D. Fergus O'Gold. And the answer is C. Granny Gigglesnort. Question 3. What materials did they use to build the bug hotel? A. Rocks and fireflies. B. Sticks, pine cones and mud. C. Feathers and glitter. Or D. Water and sand. And the answer is B. Sticks, pine cones and mud. Question 4. What was the first bug to move into the bug hotel? A. A flutterby. B. A skitterbug. C. A pollen puff bee. Or D. A snufflegrub. And the answer is B. A skitterbug. Question 5. What lesson did Granny Gigglesnort share with Snickerfang and Jinx at the end? A. Only big animals matter. B. Always keep your home clean. C. Everything in nature has a place and purpose. Or D. Bugs are only for decoration. And the answer is C. Everything in nature has a place and purpose. All right, who wants to make a bug hotel? Here's how you do it. First, you'll need a container to be the base of your bug hotel. This can be an empty milk carton, a small wooden box, or even a cardboard tube. Just make sure it's something sturdy that won't fall apart outside. Next, it's time to collect materials to fill your hotel with. Bugs love little hiding spots, so look around your yard for natural things like sticks, pine cones, dry leaves, bark, and even a few rocks. You can also use small pieces of bamboo if you have any. These different shapes give bugs lots of cozy corners to snuggle into. Now arrange all your materials inside the container. Stack the sticks, place the leaves, tuck in the bark. You're making little rooms for your bugs. Pack them in snugly so they don't fall out. Finally, place your bug hotel somewhere outside where it won't get too wet or blown over by the wind. Bugs like a peaceful spot with shade so they can relax. Now just wait and watch. Soon you might spot little bugs moving into their new hotel rooms. It's a great way to help nature and make some new insect friends. Happy building, and let your hotel guests know they're welcome to stay as long as they'd like. Are you still there? Wow, we've packed so much into this episode. I'm sure you know by now that we do everything we can to thank our Patreon supporters for keeping our show going. For example, we produce a new Patreon story every week. We've already done the first 2 Winnie the Pooh books. Now we're doing Queen Zixie of Ix by L. Frank Baum, who wrote The Wizard of Oz. Here's a sample from Chapter 1, The Weaving of the Magic Cloak. The fairies assembled one moonlit night in a pretty clearing of the ancient forest of Burzee. The clearing was in the form of a circle, and all around stood giant oak and fir trees, while in the center the grass grew green and soft as velvet. If any mortal had ever penetrated so far into the great forest and could have looked upon the fairy circle by daylight, he might perhaps have seen a tiny path worn in the grass by the feet of the dancing elves. For here, during the full of the moon, the famous fairy band, ruled by good Queen Lulea, loved to dance and make merry, while the silvery rays flooded the clearing and caused their gauzy wings to sparkle with every color of the rainbow. On this special night, however, they were not dancing, for the queen had seated herself upon a little green mound. And while her band clustered about her, she began to address the fairies in a tone of discontent. "I am tired of dancing, my dears," she said. "Every evening, since the moon grew big and round, we have come here to frisk about and laugh and disport ourselves. And although those are good things to keep the heart light, one may grow weary even of merrymaking. So I ask you to suggest some new way to divert both me and yourselves during this night."
"That is a hard task,"
answered one pretty sprite, opening and folding her wings slowly.
"We have lived through so many ages that we long ago exhausted everything that might be considered a novelty. And of all of our recreations, nothing gives us such continued pleasure as dancing."
"But I do not care to dance tonight," replied Lulea, with a little frown.
"We might create something by virtue of our fairy powers,"
suggested one who reclined at the feet of the queen. "Ah, that is just the idea," exclaimed the dainty Lulea, with brightening countenance. "Let us create something. But
What?
If you enjoyed that and want to find out what happens next, you can hear the full story and more when you support us on Patreon. Hey guys, if you like this episode, please share it with your friends and family. It is one of the best ways to support BKFK Storytime.